morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm so honored to be here today with you all. Know thyself. Is anybody familiar with these words?
Mm-hmm.
So the meaning of these words are attributed to the Greek philosopher Socrates and are inscribed at the Temple of Apollo at Delphi, and the Greeks consider this the center of the world. And this has always fascinated me and confused me at the same time, because can we truly know ourselves, and what exactly does that mean? Well, I believe it has something to do with being authentic and with loving the self. Before I came here and discovered the magic that is Crystal Coast Unity, I traveled all over the world and saw so much cool stuff, met so many amazing people, enchanted places. I couldn't even begin to tell you all the experiences. But just before I left for Peru for the first time in 2013, my life, well, totally sucked. And I decided I was going to completely dismantle it, like every bit of it. And I decided to try what I called a personal experiment in radical trust. So I completely decided to live life on purpose, and I created a new identity. I started wearing new clothes. I didn't even own a skirt then, believe it or not. I bought a one-way plane ticket, and I just left the country. And I met amazing new people. I even changed my name, which is throwing a lot of people for a loop. So I started learning everything I could about anything that interested me and anything that crossed my path. But what I realized was that everywhere I went, there I was. And I live life with no regrets, and I love all the discoveries that I've made. And I was so inspired to become the ideal me that I just decided to become her. And she was really different from anybody I'd ever met before. And thankfully, you don't have to sell all your stuff, divorce your spouse, and buy a one-way plane ticket to the other side of the planet to do this. Thank goodness. That was really intense. All you really need to do is give yourself permission to have a new perspective. And so when it comes to being authentically you, there's absolutely nothing we need to learn. Believe it or not, everything we need to know, we actually were born already knowing how to do. What a relief, right? I mean, that takes some pressure off. Playing, breathing, eating, drinking, pooping, laughing, sleeping, it's all good. That's all we really need to know. It's actually the removing of what we've been told to do, the way that we should think, or maybe we're trained in some way to please him or her or them. And sometimes realizing that we're living life through others' perceived expectations of us. Never heard of that before. So it's a peeling away of the layers, getting to the core, the real essence of ourselves. Identities, labels, all these things aside, the pure being of I am. So many Eastern philosophies state that one's entire life is a journey moving towards the self. And some say to know thyself is actually to have a strong sense of self-awareness. Many pursue this quest through self-contemplation, meditation, and prayer, and I agree wholeheartly and believe there are actually other ways in addition to these to enhance our knowingness. Hence one of my favorite mantras coined by Mahatma Gandhi, and that is, truth is one, paths are many. Thank goodness. So much so that I've actually made this my personal tagline, because why not? We're infinite beings. So the other day in Catherine's 12 Powers class, we were discussing how our only real job on Earth, if we choose to accept it, is to grow. And I believe that one of the best ways to do just that is becoming what I call an experimentalist. Playing with ideas, finding our edge, sampling life like a delicious buffet, trying new things, trying that thing that you've always found interesting, finding a new hidden passion, trying that thing that maybe you've yet to discover or even know you're interested in, keeping your eyes and your ears open, looking for new opportunities that awaken our interests, simply trying things that speak to us. It's never, 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 never too late to learn anything, ever. I believe it's the divine discontentment that keeps us seeking and exploring ad infinitum until it doesn't, until you find it. And then that unfulfilled and unknown dream, that void, becomes known. And ta-da! It becomes your passion. So what is your passion? What lights you up when you think about it? Maybe you don't think you have one. Many of you do. But if you don't have one, great, because the world is truly your oyster. Maybe there's something that you've read about or watched other people, or maybe saw in a movie, or maybe it's just that little voice that speaks up and says, oh, I'd really like to try that. And then it's about taking inspired action. And of course, as in anything in life, there's different types of experimenting. Of course, you can be a dabbler. You might stick your toes in the water, go with your friend to that acro yoga class that keeps nagging you, or trying that cooking class at the college. And that's good, that's really good. I highly recommend this technique all day long. Take that class, sign up for the retreat, workshops, just step outside your comfort zone, because we all know that that's really where the magic happens, right? I mean, really, how many times have you heard that? It's true. And then there's other ways to try new things. You can take the approach where you may go to a class or two, decide you absolutely love it, buy all the equipment, buy the plane, decide you need all the accessories, the clothing, what other accoutrements, everything that your new passion requires. And yes, I have several mountain bikes, a closet full of karate gear, every meditation tool known to humankind, a storage container full of really nice art supplies, and don't even get me started about backpacking gear. So you can imagine what kind of experimentalist I am. And that's okay too. I don't beat myself up anymore. I'm just happy to participate and try new things. And that's really what got me here, literally. Okay, so I admit I'm a total workshop junkie. And I've always said that I'll try almost anything once. Of course, I could own my own sporting goods shop, but wait a minute, I even tried that. Wait a minute. So am I advising you to go out and take solo parachuting lessons tomorrow? Well, no. Yes. No. Only if that is your heart's desire and your heart's passion, because that's the point. We're here to follow our heart. Take the risks. It will not lead you astray. Follow your interests, follow the excitement, and as one of my favorite teachers said to me, follow the energy. Because I think that's what's meant by God's will. God didn't want me to go out and get some job I hated just because the world needed it. I believe that God wants us to be happy and that we're meant to be blissful beings. Satchitananda means truth, consciousness, bliss. In Sanskrit, and I believe that means to participate in life with as much enthusiasm as you can possibly muster, always, because that's really what's important. Being open to new opportunities, saying yes to life, having willingness, being curious like children, being an adventurer, open to exploring uncharted territory, and especially being open to looking at new ways of looking at things. So I got tested in this recently myself. My business coach and branding advisor told me to be an expert, write like an expert. And I was like, what? Be an expert? Me? What? I thought about this for a really long time, and there was a huge battle going on among the other voices in my head, which we'll get into later this afternoon. If you choose to accept it. But you know what? Who won? The one that said, okay, I'm in. I'll try it. So have you ever practiced that one thing, whether it was like those annoying piano lessons that we took, week after week after week, until you actually learned something that sounded similar to what you were trying to play, and then you didn't think you were ever going to be able to play it, but then you did, and beautifully. Or what about that job that you landed, and on day one you're like, what? I don't know anything about what's going on here. How am I going to learn all this stuff? And then, like years later, you're teaching someone else how to do the job. It's like magic. Or what about that one thing that you did until you knew like backwards and forwards, something that you loved doing, and you had no idea that you were studying it so hard. You just knew that you loved it, and you wanted to know everything you possibly could about it. We all have the capacity for learning something new, anything, and we often lack the vision to see where it can actually take us. Well, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but that's exactly, like step by step, how you become an expert in anything. It's practice. And yes, all those little corny cliches are actually true. Practice does make perfect. Just like laughter really is the best medicine, right, Betsy? Well, apparently a lot of people knew this because these things are crocheted on little pillows and tchotchkes all over your Aunt Mary's house. Spit it out, Aunt Mary. So why do we think that it's all right and good to keep ourselves small and inconsequential? You know, most of us are taught as children not to be a show-off. You know, don't be a know-it-all or a poser. Be humble, they say, or even meek or mild. Well, this is all very fine and good, but I think that we're prone to misinterpret this concept. And we somehow take this to mean to filter ourselves or repress our true nature or tone it down. Oh, here's a good one. I never heard this before. Contain yourself. What does that mean? If you choose to be ordinary, that is totally fine. But please know it's completely up to you. If you wish to be extraordinary or you wish to be ordinary, the decision is yours. It isn't your genes or your environment or your luck or anything. It's a choice. And you will amaze yourself at what you're capable of when inspired properly. Doesn't matter what your passion is. If you want to be an Olympic quilter, is that an Olympic sport? The best sand castle builder, the best crayon artist, or the world's best mommy, it matters not. It's not about creating another label for ourselves. It's about personal expansion. Finding something you love and doing it. Practicing, getting really good. Being an expert. So I'm inviting you to own it. Like, really own it. Just decide and do it. Whatever it is. Be amazing. Be a professional, expert you. Dale Carnegie said, action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, don't sit at home and think about it. Go out and get busy. And I love that because it's not all mushy. It's just like direct and to the point. I found that it's the things that I keep coming back to over and over again that suddenly are very significant. I may have an idea, work on it for a while, come back to it again and again. But these are messages and signs from Spirit telling me to pay attention. For me, it's been my daily walk. Whether it's in the woods, the neighborhood, on the beach, hiking, backpacking, trekking, through hiking the Appalachian Trail, it really boils down to how much crap you haul with you. And now I've done it so much, apparently I get to call myself an expert according to my business coach. And putting aside whether my ego feels comfortable enough to embrace that label or not, I have decided to create my dream job around it. So it feels like a really big responsibility, you know, to live up to that word. Expert, right? My first experience backpacking was a week on the Appalachian Trail, my senior year in high school in what they call senior survival. My backpack was filled with hair care products, makeup, and candy. Nice. And I was wearing some really nice designer jeans in the rain for a week. And all I could think about was how my hair was going to look without shampooing it for a week. Seriously, an expert I was not. 17-year-olds, what the heck do they know, right? That would be everything. And when I started out hiking the Appalachian Trail 20 years later, I still thought I was an expert, and I was not. The old adage is very true. Fake it till you make it. And by the time I got to Maine, I knew a lot more about myself than I did 6 months earlier. The bottom line is, the more you know thyself, the more control you have in your life. So I have developed a list of 5 keys to help you do just that. So the first one is to hang out with people you admire and do the things that interest you and that do them well. And be mindful of who you exchange your time and energy with. Of course, that's really easy to do around here. Thank goodness for Crystal Coast Unity. Be discriminating with your attention. Read and watch things that are affirming and inspiring. And of course, go to all of Catherine's classes. Seriously.
Good girl.
Identify your fears and ask for guidance in releasing the stories that hold your attachment to the illusion, because that's what fear is. Take your focus away from doubt and negativity and allow yourself to make more empowering choices. Of course, learn from past experiences. Let go and release judgment about perceived mistakes, and just be grateful for the gifts and the lessons that they brought. And most importantly, number 5, embrace change. Say yes. Step outside of your comfort zone. Take sensible risks. Be willing and expand yourself. Evolve. Since my teenage backpacking flunky days, I've now created what I love and call the Badass Backpacker Boot Camp program. I know, I love it. And I'm very compelled to inspire women to empower themselves by teaching one-on-one backpacking skills and backcountry skills and introducing them to wilderness ceremonies by being in sacred places. And I never set out to be an expert. I just kept following my heart and dreaming big and doing what I love. And all I can say is the experiment in trust has been a huge success. And my risky life sampling has paid off. I tried something new. I absolutely fell in love with it. Bought all the stuff that you have to have for it over and over again. But you never know until you know it. Keep taking inspired action, responding from the intuitive knowing self, and have faith in divine order. So how do I know thyself? Well, I know I make this fairy tale up all by myself. I get to decide. I'm the decider. Recently, I've brushed up on all my expertness skills. I worked with some gear reps, became a Leave No Trace outdoor ethics trainer, completed the Wilderness First Responder course, took workshops on knot tying and backcountry navigation and whatnot. June, going to backcountry survival school, instructor training. My mother always said that when I was into something, enthusiastic about something, that I was all in. And boy, was she right. Because if I'm going to call myself an expert on something, I consider it my dharma and my divine purpose to do it 100% with integrity and my whole self. And as someone very dear says to me, you got to come all the way in and sit all the way down. The best way to cultivate personal power is to honor those dreams that keep recurring in our life and making definitive plans to bring them into this world in reality. Begin by making a list of what you want and allow yourself to dream really big. Choose a goal from your list and commit to bringing it to fruition. Divide it into achievable, everyday tasks that you can work on regularly. And know that you deserve to have your dreams come true and that you already possess the power to bring them into being. You just have to choose it. So, like the techniques that we will be playing with this afternoon, I've wanted to share this fun and amazing meditation tool we're going to be playing around with for a long time. It's a dream come true, actually. It was gifted to me years and years ago, and I've made it my own creation. And I hope to see you all after the potluck to experiment with this. The Chinese Taoist philosopher Lao Tzu once said, knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength, mastering yourself is true power. We are limitless beings and have the ability to dream up anything we can imagine and more. Our benevolent universe, ancestors, and guides are literally waiting around to help us. All we have to do is ask. Isn't it time you stepped into your personal power? Thank you.